Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and I hope that all the viewers that are currently watching my video now is having a great day. So, do we know that thermodynamics actually plays an important role in our daily life? And in today's video, I would like to talk about one particular things that actually applies the law of thermodynamics. So before we continue any further, first I would like to introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Amir Amin bin Muhammad Sabri, and I am from RK24. And today we'll be talking about the important things that use thermodynamics in our daily life. And in this particular video, I would like to talk about the uses of thermodynamics in keeping the organ safe in between the organ transplant, which is to put the organ in the eyes so that the organ can maintain its usability. So firstly, how do by putting the organ into the eyes applies the law of thermodynamics? So after further research, I have been able to analyze that actually by putting the organ into the eyes actually use the concept of conduction, which is under the thermodynamics. So what is conduction? So conduction is actually the transfer of energy from the more energetic particles of a substance to the adjacent less energetic ones as a result of interaction between particles. So this is the formula for conduction, which is Q conduction is equal to Ka, which is thermal conductivity, times area times bracket the difference in temperature divided by the difference of thickness. So now, how does conduction applies to these particular things? Firstly, we have the organ and the eyes. The eyes act as a sink. So what is actually a sink? So a sink is actually a reservoir that absorbs energy in the form of heat. So let's go to the very basic of the sink, which is thermal energy reservoir. What is a reservoir? So thermal energy reservoir is that a body with a relatively large thermal energy capacity, which is mass times specific heat, that can supply or absorb finite amounts of heat without undergoing any change in temperature. So I have been able to identify that the eyes act as a sink, a reservoir. So the large amount of ice in a container can maintain the temperature, and it is cold, so it is not easily melts. Hence, it will not undergo any change of temperature into an extent of time. So next we go to the organ. So at body temperature, which is at 37 degrees Celsius, the cell metabolism operates normally and uses its energy stores. So when we put the organ into the eyes, which is normally the eyes will be around 0 to 4 degrees Celsius, the cell metabolism of the organ will drop 5% of its normal rate. Hence, the energy stored in the organ will be used slowly. In this, we can see that the uses of thermofluid is very important in keeping the organ safe. So why do I say that it is very important? So when the organ it is cold, the organ couldn't produce enough energy for it to operate with a normal cell metabolism rate. Why? Because when we put the organ into the eyes actually absorbs the heat from the organ, making the organ didn't have enough energy, so it couldn't produce a normal rate of cell metabolism, and the organ and the eyes will reach temperature equilibrium. So when it reaches temperature equilibrium, which is around 0 to 4 degrees Celsius, the organ didn't have enough energy to operate normally, hence making the cells in the organ to last longer. So why it is important to make the organ to last long? So if we are about to making an organ transplant, first we need to take the organ out from the donor body. We need to keep the organ as long as possible. So by applying the law of thermodynamics, it is possible. So when it is cold, the organ will produce less energy and the cell metabolism will drop by 5% as the heat is being absorbed by the eyes. If the organ works, if we didn't put the organs in the eyes, the organ will operate normally, and harmful cell metabolism will be released, making the cells of the organ to break down and making the organ dead before we are able to transplant the organ into the organ receiver. And it's also very important in keeping the organs last longer. Why? Because the organ didn't have enough energy to produce cell metabolism. So in conclusion, a very simple thing, but it's very important, actually apply the laws of thermodynamics. And for me, by putting the organ into the eyes applies the law of conduction in making the organ to last long, so that the organ receiver could use the organ. And this very simple thing yet fascinating thing, which is conduction, can actually save a lot of life. So for me personally, I found that this is a very important thing in our daily life, as a lot of people nowadays actually in needed of organ transplant. So this thing could actually help a lot of life and save a lot of lives. So that's all from me. Thank you.